I have to give credit to Dave Canales, head coach, Carolina Panthers. There isn't much to nitpick right now. And the reason why I say I have to give credit or I have to apologize, some might say, is because you're judged by results in sports. And I've been vocal that I don't think he handled the quarterback position the way that it should have been handled throughout the year. I don't like that he benched Bryce after 2 games. I don't like that he hasn't been naming Bryce the starter in the postgame for the next week. I don't like some of the play calling earlier on for a quarterback that was obviously trying to get his confidence right. There's a lot I didn't like about what he did, but in a sport, you are judged by your results, and there is no arguing that Bryce Young is playing better and looking like a different player than he was earlier in the season. And I have to give credit to the coach for pulling the strings that got him there. Even if in my heart of hearts, I still think there's a better way to do it. The result is what the result is, and Bryce Young is playing significantly better right now than he was at the beginning of the year. Now, we'll never know if it was always the evil genius plan of Dave Canales to come back to Bryce after resetting the engines with some timeout, or if the thumb injury during the car accident that Andy Dalton suffered was a blessing in disguise for them. But it's a results-based business, and the results are coming back pretty strong right now. And then there's other things that Dave Canales and I have disagreed on that we are kind of coming to meld together, whether by choosing or by force. Like, I've been arguing young player takeover. I've been arguing do not feature David Moore and put Adam Thielen as the number 3 wide receiver and make sure these young guys are getting targets. But I can't get mad at him this week for featuring the old guys because Jalen Coker was hurt and inactive and Jadeveon Sanders left in the middle of the game. And if they're not available due to injury, I mean, you got to throw it to somebody.
Yeah.
I thought Xavier Legette got enough targets that it made sense. I don't think you targeted Adam Thielen or Moore at the expense of Xavier Legette, which is really all you need when the other 2 guys are out. And Jonathon Brooks got his 2 carries for 7 yards. They were obviously just getting his feet wet after his injury. So, yeah, I can't fault you for Thielen being featured on 3rd downs when there was really no one else to throw in there, like alongside Legette.
Yeah, Legette had the second most targets with 6.
And high leverage targets, downfield targets. I don't always like looking at targets and saying like this is who was featured. I use the Giants as the example. Malik Neighbors might have 10 targets. Wan'Dale Robinson might have 20 targets, but Wan'Dale Robinson will have 16 catches for 45 yards, and Neighbors will have 8 catches for 120. I'm going like, all right, those targets aren't the same, right? Some of those targets are, not as high leverage, not opportunity to make a big play. Xavier Legette, 6 targets, I'm good. With the one big crosser on the first drive, the one down the field that he dropped late in the game, like he had his opportunities to make big plays, I'm good. Other than that, I don't know where else you were going to go other than Thielen and Moore and Tremble, which those guys got the chances. He named his bright, and then the second thing, right? So that one, I was kind of forced into his camp, right? I was kind of forced into like, all right, throw it to the old guys. After the game, I think he was so excited he kind of stumbled into my camp and he named Bryce Young the starter in the postgame. He didn't have to wait. Here's Dave Canales on Bryce Young proving himself, and then at the end you hear him name the starter for next week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to make any statements. He's making it for himself. You know, he's continuing to show us the progress we're looking for, bringing our skill players to life, you know. Xavier played the X position today, so just kudos to Xavier as well, just taking on a new role and finding some success there. You know, a couple plays he'd love to have back, I'm sure. He'll be the first to tell you. But, you know, talking about Bryce, you know, it's the coaching staff, it's his teammates. You know, he's showing us, you know, what he can do when he's out there.
So we can expect him to start next Sunday?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I've been clamoring for that. Post-game presser, positive, compliment, positive, name the starter.
Let's just say that pretty much everyone in that press conference, myself included, all of our ears perked up when he said absolutely. Like, oh.
You don't have to go back and collect information and we'll talk to you on Wednesday?
Okay. Like, definitive. I'm like, okay, there it is.
I love it. I don't know how, honestly, they've gotten here, but Bryce Young is a much more confident quarterback, and that's all I've been asking for. I've wanted every decision to be made with what gets our quarterback more confident. And it seems like the entire season they've been making the opposite decision, but they stumbled into having a confident quarterback anyway, and now they're building on it. Now they're praising him. Now there's naming the starter in the future. Dave Canales was asked after the game what he learned from coaching against Andy Reid, and I thought this was said well.
I mean, just watching him for years and then just to see it firsthand, the patience that he shows and just the right calls to his group of guys, and using different personnels, using the strengths and talents that they have, is really, what I admire the most about Coach Reid, and that he's got a group that just finds a way. They just keep finding a way to win, which is a sign of a great team, And so, but again, I got to look at us. This is about us. This is about taking advantage of red zone opportunities, offensively, and tip the cap to Spags, and that defensive unit, that was able to keep us to field goals early on. So, again, something that we have to continue to grow.
It was funny because I don't know if I was in the post-game media if I would ask that question. It's not a bad question, but it's just not one I would have thought of. However, this morning, I was listening to a podcast, and it actually jumped out to me, something that Dave Canales can learn from Andy Reid. It was Matt Hasselbeck was telling the story. Remember Hasselbeck? We want the ball and we're going to score. He was a longtime quarterback of the Seahawks, and also with the Packers before that. Mike Holmgren was the head coach. This is the story of Andy Reid that personifies everything I believe in when it comes to developing quarterbacks. Mike Holmgren, grizzly dude. I don't know if everybody remembers Mike Holmgren, but very, very kind of angry at times. And Hasselbeck would tell the story of, in practice, Holmgren's rule, no balls on the ground, complete everything in offensive drills. And there'd be a ball on the ground, and Holmgren would come screaming over. Matt Hasselbeck, backup quarterback, right, just about to get torn their head off. And Andy Reid would jump in the middle, right, back to Holmgren, face like in the space of Hasselbeck, like up, arms, fingers pointed, and Andy Reid would be looking like he's mad, and he would be screaming at Matt Hasselbeck, okay, do I look like I'm mad? I know what happened there. The wide receiver ran 18 yards, and he should have run 14 yards, and it wasn't your fault. Do I look mad? Look like I'm yelling at you. And here's the thing. We're going to see that on film, and we're going to get fixed with the wide receiver, but Mike Holmgren's going to realize that it wasn't you. And all that was doing was protecting his quarterback's confidence from being dressed down by the head coach in a way that might affect them moving forward. And my thought went to, gosh, Andy Reid is willing to protect his confidence, his quarterback's confidence, like with his life. He's like throwing his body in front of bullets for his quarterback. I think that's something Canales can learn, but no arguing with the results here. So whatever you did with Bryce, it worked. I'm not – that's, shooting a half-court shot to win a game. I'm not sure you should make that the plan. Like, hey, from this point on, let's stall and throw up the half-court shot. But it went in. You won the game. To the victor goes the spoils. The victors write the histories. Congratulations, Dave Canales. You've rehabbed a quarterback from seemingly the edge of extinction earlier this year.